I'm going to make a video here on how to create a virtual machine so that you can have an extra remote PC essentially, or whatever your purpose is, okay? So the first step, and this is all documented in the doctor's manual, would be to enable virtualization. So some computers in their BIOS settings haven't enabled you to be able to do virtualization. So really what you need to do is follow this. When you restart your computer, you've got to press one of these keys, depending on the manufacturer of your computer, and then you'll go in and you'll enable virtualization technology, okay? Now, this step isn't absolutely necessary. The only time you would have to do this is when you go to enable Hyper-V, okay, which is um, detailed right here. When you go to enable Hyper-V, it says it's not available because virtualization has not been enabled. If that's the case, then you go into the BIOS by restarting your computer, pressing this key, enabling it, and then restarting your computer, okay? So in this instance, uh, you know, I guess we got to look to see if this computer is um, a good candidate for virtualization, okay? So the thing that I'm going to take a look at is Task Manager here, okay? And I want to see how much memory I have. It would be good because we're basically going to have two computers running on the same hardware. It would be good to have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM here, okay? So if you take a look here, this computer has 31 gigabytes. So this is a good candidate for virtualization, okay? So what I will do here is I will type in add features, okay, turn Windows features on or off, okay, turn Windows features on and off. So I'll go ahead and click on that, okay. And then what I'll do is I'll come in, and this one has already been checked, but I'm going to check this Hyper-V, okay. It will go in and add Hyper-V virtualization. And then what it'll do is it'll restart, okay? So again, first step is checking to see if we can add virtualization or if we can add Hyper-V feature inside of Windows. And obviously, the Windows needs to be Windows Pro. How do you check if you have Windows Pro? You're going to go to Activation Settings, okay? And you can see here, this is Windows 11 Pro, Windows 10 Pro also works, okay? And then you're going to add Hyper-V as a Windows feature, okay? Through this turn Windows features on or off. If it doesn't allow you to install it because of virtualization, then you're going to go up to this step, add virtualization, and then you're going to come back and then you're going to add Hyper-V, okay? So we've already kind of gone through that on this computer. So the next step is we need to download a Windows DVD, okay? So the way that you do that is, I'll just go into Google and say Windows 10 download or media creation tool. Probably best to go here, okay? So Microsoft has um, an ability to download an installation file. So I'm going to click on download tool now. Okay, so it's not this one up here, it's this one here. Okay, download tool now, and you'll see this media creation tool. So I'm going to show in folder, and like everything else we do when we're installing, we're going to right click and run as administrator. Okay, so do you want, so I'm going to come in here and change when these notifications appear. I'm going to make sure that we never have those notifications. And then I'm going to say yes. Okay, so usually that just gets that. So I'm going to go run that again. And this process takes just a little bit of time here. Okay, so I'm going to go accept. and then I'm going to go create installation media, and we're really wanting to make this ISO file. So we'll click on next. Okay. It's fine that we can use this recommended for this PC, but really we want a 64-bit Windows 10 operating system. So we're going to click on next, and then here we're going to click on ISO file. Okay, and then I'll just go ahead and put it into my downloads. Okay, and save. So we'll pick this up as soon as this is completed its download. Okay, before I start making my virtual machine, I want to make sure that the internal IP addresses match what the external IP addresses are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Virtual Switch Manager, okay, and I'm going to show you how to make this external VM switch, okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually click on New Virtual Switch, you're going to click on External, and then create a virtual switch, okay, and then essentially you're going to be making what I did here. So you're going to call it external VM switch, okay? And then you're going to click on external network, and then you need to make sure that this is exactly what the network interface card that you're using. So you're going to go to Network and Internet Settings, okay? You're going to go to Ethernet, okay? And then you're going to copy, you're going to find out what this description is. So in our case, it's Realtek PCI GB Family Controller, okay? And so I'm going to make sure that I check that exact one, and then I'm going to click OK. Okay. So when that happens, okay, when you create the settings here, you're going to come to network adapter and you make sure that you choose external VM switch. Then it's going to match the external IP addresses to the internal ones, and it's going to be super simple for you to path. I've already loaded this, but within your virtual machine, um, it's going to be easily able to path from your virtual machine to all of your external servers and whatnot. So just make sure that you do that before you start the virtual machine. We'll go to the downloads, and you're going to see here's the ISO. Okay, sometimes it's a little bit easier if I go here and click on File Name Extensions. There we go. So Windows ISO. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Hyper-V Manager. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to, we already have this here. So no virtual machines were found. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Create. Or you could go through this other way. But we're going to do local installation source, change installation source, and we're going to go and find our Windows ISO. So we're going to click on O, open. This virtual machine will run Windows. Okay, so once we've chosen that, we're going to go click on Create Virtual Machine. Okay, now in order to create this virtual machine, okay, we're going to need to have a Windows license. Okay, so you can either buy that or you can contact corporate, and we have access to Windows 10 Pro licenses. Okay, so I'm going to go here and we're going to click on Connect. And we're going to click on, let's do this. Let's go to File Settings, and let's kind of see what we're using here. Okay, so for memory, it's initially going to give us 2 gigs of RAM. Okay, really we need about 4 gigs of RAM. So I'm going to actually set this to 4,000. Okay, just so that it can run just a little bit faster. Network switch, default switch. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and click apply there. Okay, and then we'll start our machine. Okay, and when we start our machine, it's going to ask us to click any key to boot from the CD, which essentially this is a CD that's mounted to this virtual machine. Okay, so I kind of had to go into there to click on to run from the CD, but now it's basically going to boot the Windows installation. Okay, so English, English, US, next, install now. Okay, now it's looking for this product key. So I'm going to copy this out and I'm going to paste it in here, hopefully. Okay. Um, 189XT7 6 FFWC4 CBCV6 and 722 kg. Next. Okay. And then the way that we designate that this has been used is we'll come in here and we will do format text strike through. So this one has already been used. Okay, and now we're essentially just setting up Windows. So I'm going to click on okay, so in this custom install, I don't want to keep stuff from an old version, okay? Um, I want to do a custom install, just Windows, and I want to put it on the unallocated space there, okay? Um, okay, so we'll go ahead and click on next. And let's check our hard drive space on this computer. So if we go to File Explorer, we go to this PC. Okay, so it's if you saw there, we were using 127 gigabytes. This computer has 834 gigabytes free. That's fine. Really, we need between 40 and 50 gigabytes. That's perfectly fine. So we used about twice what we need to do, but in this instance, it's not that big of a deal. And we can shrink the virtual machine's hard drive if we need to, but um, we should be okay with this configuration here. So I'll try to just record the areas where we have prompts, and so we can kind of keep this video as short as possible. Okay, so you can see by the time here that it's been, 20, 30 minutes, but now it's basically we've downloaded and started installing Windows, and now we're going through the Windows installation. Just a side note, you can do most of this remote. The only portion that you wouldn't be able to do remote is if you had to go in there and enable virtualization through the BIOS. But if it isn't the BIOS, then you can go ahead and just do all of this remote. So and you can see I'm doing this remote. So we'll go ahead and click on United States here. Keyboard US. We want to skip adding a second keyboard. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. Let's go ahead and set up for an organization. Next. Okay. Um, let's do this. Sign in with the security. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say who's using this PC. And we're going to call this virtual PC. And I believe this office has more than one virtual PC. So we're going to call this virtual PC Pano. Okay. Virtual PC Pano. Okay. Look at the naming structure that we usually use. So if this were on an op, usually it wouldn't be on an op, but you want to try making it very easy to use here. Um, and we do not want to use an online account. We want to use a local account. So I'm going to click on next here. And then our usual password is USA12345. USA12345. Okay, so for the security questions, I usually just come in and do random questions, and then I always put the answer as A. Okay, and that first one should have been lowercase a. Okay. Okay. All of this stuff you can click on accept. Not the biggest deal in the world, although I don't like them coming in and monitoring our use, but that's fine. Okay. Customize experience. Let's go ahead and skip that. Not now. Okay, so we do want to set this up to be kind of a larger screen here. That way when you come in with Splashtop, it'll also be a larger screen. So I'm going to click on Connect. Okay. Okay. And then you can see if you need to minimize, you can. If you need to maximize, you can. Okay. Okay, so then when we log in, our password obviously is the USA1245. Okay. Now here, this is important, obviously. Do you want to allow your PC to be discoverable by other PCs? Yes, we basically want it to be on the network. So we're going to click on yes. Okay, and you can see here that we are connected to the network. Okay, so one of the first things here is I like to download Splashtop so that we can Splashtop into the virtual machine instead of being on the physical machine and coming in. So, okay, so uh, let's go ahead and go into Splashtop. Okay, and then we're going to go click on Get Streamer. Okay, so business. Okay, and then we're going to log into corporate. And call one of the corporate team to get the password for this. They're going to send an authentication email. So I will log in and authenticate that from the corporate side. Okay, so then we can log in and then we're going to download and add this computer. Okay, one thing that's probably a good idea before we do this is to rename the PC. Okay, so view your PC name. And you're going to see that it has this really weird name here. Okay, so we're going to rename this PC to the one that we used before. Okay, so the username and the PC name is the same. So we're going to click on next, and it's going to want to um, restart it. We'll go ahead and restart later. Okay, so let's see where we are on the Splashtop. Okay, so here's our deployment package. We're going to run as administrator. I'm going to go here and I'm going to click change when these notifications appear, and I'm going to click on never notify. Okay, do we want Splashtop to be able to change this device? Yes, and then sometimes you have to come back in here and click on run as administrator. Okay, so another thing that we should download while we're here is the version of EagleSoft that we're using. So I'm going back out to the physical server, okay? And I'm going to go to technical reference here, and I'm going to take a look at the license number here, okay? So 412. Now, in this case, um, we've saved the license as a text file on the server. So let's just take a look and see if those are the same. Yes, it is. Okay. So you can see that's the exact same number. Okay. And we've actually downloaded the installation file here. Now, if you don't have the installation file, obviously you're going to go um, into your virtual machine, and you're going to go EagleSoft download 20. And I believe that this version is 20.10. Now, how do I know that? When I go into EagleSoft on my physical, I can see it's 20.10. Okay, so I need to download that same version here inside of the virtual machine. Okay, so here I'm inside of the virtual machine. Okay, and I'm going to go here. And you can go to download prior versions. Okay, and here's our prior version right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and download 2010, and you can see that it's now downloading here. Okay, now let's go ahead and see if we're able to path to the server within the virtual machine. Okay. One of the other first things we need to do is go to services, and we need to enable functional discovery resources here. Okay, so we'll go to functional discovery resources. Okay, and we want this to be automatic. Apply, we'll stop and start that. Okay, that allows us to be discoverable on the network. Okay, and then let's go ahead and confirm this. Okay, okay, super important portion here on setting up Splashtop Streamer. Okay, we want to rename this PC to Virtual PC Pano, and then we precede that with Firestone in this case, space hyphen space, okay, and then since we are going to allow people to access it, we put a pound there, okay? Nothing more fancy than that. This nomenclature is super important, okay? And then here's a step that everyone forgets. When you come to security, you need to click on no additional password. If not, it's going to require people to put a password to get into this computer, okay? So once the streamer is done, we're good to go, okay? Now, we've renamed this PC, so it's probably a good idea before we start installing EagleSoft to restart the virtual machine. Okay, so we'll click on restart. We'll restart it. Okay, so now if we pull up on Splashtop, virtual PC, see that's the first one. If we refresh this, there is a new PC. And then what we'll do is we'll assign that to the group. And we're going to assign that to Firestone. So now you can see there's the virtual PC that we get on. This is on, I think, the doctor's PC. And now we have one where we can get in there. Now you can't be on the remote connection or the Hyper-V connection and Splashtop at the same time. But we're going to continue just to work through the Hyper-V connection for the time being. And let's just test here to see if we can pick up the virtual PC piano. It hasn't picked that up yet. And there you see, it just started. You can see now we have a virtual PC piano. Okay. Okay. And I think that the username or the password was accidentally uppercase. We'll see how that works here. Sometimes when you're logging into virtual machines, especially through Splashtop, you can't, sometimes you get back mixed up. So it does look like it's all caps. So I'll show you how to go in and change your password. So we want it all lowercase there. Okay. Okay. So let's just go and look at our icons here. As things are kind of booting up, you can see that we have Windows security on. So one thing that I do want to do is I want to really prevent there from being any issues from getting from the server to the virtual PC. Let's just go check the network here. Okay, and you can see our virtual machine name has changed there. Okay, so I do want to turn off the firewall. You can see that the computer is still kind of starting up here. We should have Splashtop icon here. You can see it's still kind of starting up here. So while this is starting up, I'm going to open up Microsoft Edge and we'll download Google Chrome. Just so that when we log in, we can use all of the username and passwords for this particular office, okay? Okay, so we'll go ahead and open this file. And again, we're going to right click and run as administrator. And usually I'm going to take a couple of these icons away just to kind of get going on this. So this mail we can unpin from the taskbar. Okay. Okay, so you can see now computer's starting to come alive here. Okay, so with Chrome, we are going to want to make it the default browser. So we'll log in here, turn on sync. Okay, so the reason why we're doing the virtual machine because we're having competition to get into that. So the user started using that physical machine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in under the virtual PC panel, meaning we'll be able to get in there through Splashtop instead of through the physical server. Okay, so here we are, we're back in. We need to change that password at some point. Okay, so not sure what the password is on this. Let me grab that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and log in. Yes, we do want to sync. So now we're syncing to Firestone. We want to show the bookmarks bar, which gives us all of our insurance and everything, which is important when we're logging in. Okay. Okay. And now we will go to downloads and let's go ahead and run as administrator. Let's see if we can log into the server here real quick. And grab that license number. Okay, let's go to firewall. You can see Splashtop is running finally. Okay, so firewall is on. Okay, so what I like to do is turn Windows Defender Firewall on or off. And just to give us complete access to the server, I want to turn all of this off. Okay. Okay. Now, okay. So we're going to go ahead and start installing EagleSoft. Okay, we're going to go ahead and click on install. Okay, so one other requirement here is we do need to install Acrobat DC. Okay, so we want the free version here. And I like to go to this getadobe.com. So I'm going to click on here. Okay, and you can see I'm trying to do multiple things at once because it's kind of, and then I want to uncheck this. I don't want to install McAfee. Okay, and I don't even want to install that. Okay, then I'm going to come here. I'm going to click on the Adobe Acrobat Reader. Okay, you can see that it's down here. So again, I'm going to go Show in Folder, and I'm going to run as administrator. So to be able to get out of this screen, you just press the Windows key on your keyboard and you'll get back to this. Okay, so we're getting Adobe Acrobat Reader installed. Now obviously this is a virtual PC. If this were a regular PC, you would continue on and install the Schick X-Ray, the Mouthwatch. Okay, so we're running 2 installations at the same time. Okay, so we're going to need to go out and grab that that license number. Okay, so I'll simply go onto the server. Okay, so okay. Okay, and here we're going to be doing a workstation only. Okay, and we're fine with C EagleSoft, so we'll click on install. We can see that still we're installing 2 things at once, Acrobat Reader and EagleSoft. Okay, finished installing Adobe Acrobat. Okay, and since we have done that, we can actually close down Edge. We can even unpin it from the, okay. Try to just keep everything simple here. We've already done a Windows firewall. Okay, so now we're just waiting for our Eaglesoft. Okay. So I'm just deleting all instances of that. Okay. Now sometimes, okay, so I'm going to go and click on here. Okay, and I do like to click here and set this as default. It's going to open up the settings screen. And then I basically go to this web browser. I click on Microsoft Edge, choose Google Chrome, and I click on Switch Anyway. Okay. So while we're waiting for Eaglesoft to set up here, okay, so we'll wait here for Eaglesoft um, to finish installing here. Okay, so once Eaglesoft is installed, we'll click on Finish, and then do we want to restart the computer now? Let's go ahead and click on Yes and wait for that to restart. Okay, so I've restarted the computer, and a couple of ways that we can get Eaglesoft to find the server. One of them is hard coding the IP. I'd like to see if we can get it to not do that, but for the time being, we'll go ahead and do that just to see if we can get Eaglesoft to get connected here. Okay, so let's see if we're ready to go. So we'll open up the command prompt. Okay, and we'll see if we can ping the server, which is ping 192.168.10.10. And you can see we can get a reply from there. Okay, let's actually see if we can do a trace route to there. 192.168.10.10. Okay. Okay, so we go to the we're at 112.1. Okay. So you can see that it resolves at the switch on the virtual machine, and then it goes right to the server. Okay. So, and that does list that as server now. Let's see if this is listed here. Doesn't look like it. Ideally, we'd like the server to resolve here. Okay, so to enable to get this, let's go to technical reference. Okay. Okay, and we'll go database setup. TCP/IP host equals 192.168.10.10. I believe here we simply just go 192.168.10.10. Let's see if that will work. So then let's go ahead and move this to the taskbar. Let's see if we can find our server now. So how do we find the IP address of the server? There's a video on that, but essentially you would go to the server and type in IP config /all, and then you would look for the IPv4 address. Okay, so you can see that we are on a different default gateway than the server, which is why we're not able to do that. But once we put that in, guess what? We're able to get all of our information here. Okay, and then we'd be able to log in. Let's see if we can get this to resolve um, uh, by changing the default gateway. I'll see if I can do that. But this is kind of the end of this video. We now are able to get into Eaglesoft, and we can now access this through Splashtop.